Foreign truck drivers, listen up. This video is for you. For those of you that want to come to Canada, well, I'll show you how to do it properly inside this video. Honestly, I have steered away from this topic for a very, very long time. Why? Because I truly do not believe that Canada has a driver shortage. I really believe that Canada has a problem with retention and has a problem with driver pay rates. And that's why we lose a lot of drivers in our industry. So even though I'm steering away from this topic, I see lots of truck drivers coming into Canada by the thousands. I see that they're getting their class 1 license, they're working in our industry, they get their PR, their permanent residence, and then they ditch trucking altogether. It drives me crazy. Now, I also see a lot of people entering our country, Canada, as truck drivers when they're not actual truck drivers. They're just being steered in this direction because they know that this is the easy way into Canada. How do I know they're not actual truck drivers? Well, because when we do road tests for foreigners, so we'll put an ad up, we'll get a lot of drivers coming in, flooded, we'll get them by the hundreds. From 100 drivers, maybe I'll get 1 or 2 guys that can pass a road test. These are guys that are actually already in Canada. These are guys that are looking for an LMIA or somebody to sponsor their work permit, and they do the road test and they fail. Literally 98 drivers out of 100 drivers will fail that road test. Why? Because they're not actual truck drivers. So why not create a video on guiding you guys out there properly on how to come to Canada? Okay, yes, this video is going to teach you how to properly come to Canada. How the hell do I know? Well, because I've done it before for these guys over here who are actual truck drivers, foreign truck drivers that wanted to come to Canada. And yes, I did check their experience. And yes, I made sure that they sent me videos of them driving their trucks. Not a tanker, not a freaking army truck, not a little day cab, not an Uber driver, actual truck drivers. If you are coming through the trucking program, then you should actually be a truck driver. So who in the world am I and what do I know about trucking? Well, I've actually been in the industry for 17 years now. I've been a part of ET Transport's growth from 10 power units to over 100 power units right now. ET Transport currently has 3 terminals, one out of Concord, Ontario, another one in Moncton, New Brunswick, and a third one that we just recently opened, our first US terminal in Atlanta, Georgia. So I might just know a couple of things on how to properly bring drivers into this country. So now that I have your attention, I will be breaking this video down into 5 parts. The first part is how will Canadian companies desire your applications. I will teach you how to properly put your application together that Canadian companies are going to want to bring you to Canada. The second thing we'll talk about is what are Canadian companies not looking for. Okay, again, as somebody that receives hundreds of emails on foreign drivers, I can tell you what Canadian companies are looking for and definitely what they're not looking for. The third thing I'm going to talk about is the amount of fraud and the types of fraud that's happening with these temporary foreign worker programs that you need to be made aware of. If you have a profile out there, there's lots of fraud, so I'll teach you what to stay away from. Now, the fourth thing that we're going to talk about is I'll give you Canadian companies in this video that are currently hiring foreigners. Yes, actual Canadian companies in this video. I'll talk about companies that are looking for you guys out there to come to Canada and they will sponsor you to do it. And then the last thing we'll talk about is the process and how long it takes. So without further ado, let's get into this video. All right, so listen up. How are these Canadian companies going to want your profile? Number 1, you need to have your B1, B2 visitor visa to the US. Okay, very important. Remember this, 9 out of 10 long-haul truck drivers here in Canada are doing cross-border freight. Now, if you do not have a B1, B2 visa, you are shit out of luck. Canadian companies will not look at your profile, okay? They will only look at your profile when you have a B1, B2 visitor's visa to the US. How you're gonna get that, I don't know. So next is your IELTS, your English test. You need to score at least 4.5 in order to come here to Canada. So if your English is not good or is not at par, or at least get it tested. When I get an email and I see that somebody has over 4.5 in English in his IELTS test and has a B1, B2 visa, right away, I put that email into a different folder, and that's the approved folder or could be approved folder. If you don't have your IELTS test and you do not have your B1, B2 visa, you go right into the junk folder. Now, the thing is, the number 3 is your experience. You have to have at least 2 years. Now, I look for 4 or 5 years, but I know that Canadian companies out here, there are some that are looking for 2 years minimum experience. That's not 2 years driving a Sprinter van. It's not 2 years driving an Uber car. It's not 2 years years being a part of an army and driving a tank, that is not considered trucking experience. I want to see videos. I want to see you shifting gears. I want to see you driving one of these things with a flatbed, or I want to see you driving one of these things with a trailer attached to it. I want to see videos. That's what I'm looking for. There are other companies here that will believe your resumes. I don't believe any resumes that I read anymore, just because life has taught me otherwise. But I can say that once you have these three things, you are a desirable candidate. Number one, let's repeat that, English. Number two is your B1, B2 visa. And number three is at least 2 years of experience driving trucks. Again, not an excavator, not a bulldozer, actual trucks. So guys, who does not qualify for the program? So if I see an email like this, right away I delete it. Number one is if you don't have the IELTS score of 4.5, minimum 4.5. Number two is if you do not have the experience in trucking, you will not get hired by a Canadian carrier. We want to see on the resume that you have minimum 2 years of experience, and that's the bare minimum. Again, like I said, I look for at least 4 or 5 years of experience. Number three, for those that have gotten denied by Canada in the past, there's no point of starting the process again from the beginning. If you got denied, usually 99% of the time you will get denied a second time, because there's a reason that they found in your file that either is not believable, or maybe there's something gaps in your resume that, you know, there's a reason why they denied your profile. Okay, so don't try to reapply. All right, so a quick story about a mechanic that I talked to about a year ago or 2 years ago. I talked to somebody about 2 years ago. So every year we usually bring in 1 or 2 foreign mechanics, so actual mechanics, diesel truck mechanics from other countries, and we bring them here into Canada. Now, I talked to this one guy that's extremely qualified, but the guy just can't seem to do his test. Okay, every 6 months he goes and he does his test, and he scores 3, 3.5 on it, 2, 2.5 on it. So he's getting better and better. But guys, take the time, invest in your English. Okay, that mandatory is not going away. Canada wants the people that are coming in to have the basic English. Well, actually, it's a little bit more than the basic English. So guys, practice your English and make sure you do those IELTS tests. There's no point of wondering and guessing. You want to know where you are, do the test so you can see how much more you need to improve, and then take the time over the next year or 2 years to learn the English or to get the score that you need to get in order to come to Canada. All right, the third part of this video is we're going to talk about the amount of fraud that's taking place with these LMIAs, with these work permits. My God, I thought the trucking industry was bad. This is to a whole nother level. So the type of fraud that's happening is people are charging for job offers, okay, whether it's trucking companies or fake trucking companies. And I'll tell you a story of what happened with us, but trucking companies and also these consultants, these immigration consultants. All right, where do I start? So immigration consultants, okay, an immigration consultant is not an immigration lawyer. Okay, most fraud happens with immigration consultants. All right, they charge for files, they charge to prep your files, and there are so many articles of bad immigration consultants that are getting either arrested or they're getting charges because they are starting to crack down on these immigration consultants. But I'll give you a simple story of what happened with us. So there's a fake company out there that opened ettransport@gmail.com. They started sending job offers to foreigners, and these foreigners would then reach out to us and say, hey, you know, either I'm in Canada or hey, I'm coming to Canada. Like, what are you talking about? So they actually forwarded us a fake job offer from ET Transport. They had my signature and they had my, like, everything of mine, which is insane, because if you're not getting the job offer directly from the company, do not pay for a job offer. Okay, no job offers do not pay, and do not pay anybody for your file. So if somebody says that, you know, in order to get the approval you're gonna have to pay $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, so many truck drivers are getting caught inside this loophole or inside the scam. Another scam that happens a lot is the immigration consultant will tell you, don't worry about your experience, or just get a friend to write the letter, just get somebody to write a letter that you worked as a driver. I want you to know that that's the reason why Canada will ban you from Canada, because they actually check on the references, they actually check on the history. They'll actually do a follow-up question for you and say, hey, can you send me your pay stubs? Now when somebody asks you to send the pay stubs, now to go back 2 or 3 years, if you had experience driving as a, you know, as a truck driver somewhere, and now they're asking you for your pay stubs, so if that's not real, then you're going to get automatically banned from Canada, and you will never be able to reapply to come as a truck driver here in Canada, or any programs that we have here in Canada. Now, so much fraud is happening out there also with these YouTube channels. There are some YouTube channels that teach people how to come to Canada and what they're looking for. So make sure you are not caught inside this loophole, this fraud that's happening within the organization. Make sure you're actually talking to a company here in Canada. So the moment you've all been waiting for, who in the world is recruiting truck drivers right now? So I could tell you that if you do a search on Google, or if you watch my video over here, when I talk about the top 10, 15 carriers here in Canada, all these carriers, okay, they all have a foreign program. I know we have a program looking for truck drivers. So yes, they all have the program there, and you should be able to just reach out to recruiting over there and properly send in an email. Now, if your email is not being responded to, that means that your profile is not desirable. And I taught you in this video how to make your profile desirable, so any one of these 15 companies will be happy to bring you over here. Now, what's the difference between a pre-approved LMIA and an LMIA, okay? And what is the process of you coming to Canada? So companies like us, we have a pre-approved LMIA. So we send the application to the government comes back to us, and usually it's in bundles of 4, 5, 6. For our company, it's bundles of 5. So we'll get a batch of 5 approvals. Once we have that approval, it's called an unnamed LMIA, meaning that we got the approval and now we have to find the candidates. Usually when you have a approved unnamed LMIA, it'll usually take us about 4 weeks to get everything from start to finish. So 1 week is usually the back and forth. 1 week is checking up your history, your videos, and everything that we do on our end. The 3rd week will actually send the application in to add your name to our pre-approved LMIA. That takes 7 days, and then usually within a week or 2, the driver's already here in Canada. Now, the approvals come in either from Ontario or they come in from New Brunswick. So for you guys out there looking for a trucking company that's going to hire you, that you are a lot more likely to find a placement in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia versus here in Ontario. If you are looking for the work permit or the LMIA, it's easier to find one down east. Now again, most of these carriers that I mentioned in that video over here, the top 10 carriers, they all will recruit drivers that have a profile that I told you in this video. So make sure you have your B1, B2 visa, make sure you have your IELTS test, and make sure you have at least 2 years of experience in trucking. Actual trucking. So hopefully you learned something from this video. Now, if you would like for me to consult you on your profile, okay, yes, I could do that. Within 20 minutes of a conversation with you, I could tell you if you are a candidate or if you are not a candidate for us. Now, if you think you have the experience and you'd like for me to consult you on your profile, I'll be more than happy to do that. Make sure you book a consultation with me and I can point you either in the right direction or take you as a driver myself. But yes, unfortunately, my time costs money and you will need to book a consultation. So you can start the process by sending an email to sponsorship@ettransport.ca. All right, so if you are thinking of coming to Canada and you enjoyed this video, make sure you're part of our channels. Our channel is all about North American trucking, and if you are coming to Canada, most likely you'll be doing cross-border freight. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel. I'm Ronen, R-O-N-E-N, and I'll catch you in my next video.